Hello everyone, Coach Lockey here. It's time. It's Coach Lockey and Coach Lockey driver fix time. Now, if you haven't seen the videos of my lessons so far, we've done lots on irons, me and Pete. So go and check those videos out. I'll put the links in the description and up in the corners here as well. But now it's time for my driver. And if I get this right, who knows what could happen with my golf. No more wild balls, just straight absolute bombs. So in this video, we have got a swing analysis from Pete on my driver and also given me some drills to think about on how I can possibly improve them. This could be interesting. In the comments down below, let me know what you think of this video and if you enjoy it. Swing analysis, few drills that could also help your game. Let me know in the comments down below what you think.
So, very simply, I want you to imagine a very simple idea. If I was to draw a line down the trail side of your shirt, let's say the seam line, I want you to imagine that I want us to play a game. I want you to imagine that you have to keep your hands inside that seam line throughout your backswing. Okay, that's what I want you to try and create an image of at the top of your backswing. So if we just get a nice big turn in, beautiful golf swing, hips turning nicely, diaphragm turning nicely, ribcage turning nicely, shoulders way through 110, 120 degrees from a face-on point of view. But here's what I see at the top of the backswing. I see a player that has definitely allowed the arms to overrun past their body's turn. If anything, I feel like the right arm is now retracted behind the body. So you get this really beautiful looking long golf swing, but there's definitely some degree of disconnection, this right arm sort of working very away from the center line of your body. In fact, if I kept it really simple and just draw a line sort of through your outset of your body, you can see very much there that the arms sort of residing way behind you now. Now your reaction to the getting to the arms, let's call it in a very deep position, which we would expect, okay, let's just go over it why we would see it. We would expect that because we've definitely increased the amount of hip turn, shoulder turn, ribcage turn. We've increased this idea. So therefore we would probably expect to see more depth of the hands. One of the benefits of this scenario is you've been able to develop now a much more inward delivery pattern, which is obviously the basis for a draw bias pattern. Now we need to give you the ability to control the club face. So here's what I see. I see a player at the top of the backswing that gets just fractionally disconnected. Now when I say disconnected, if I imagine just drawing maybe a small ball between your arms, maybe sort of a smart ball, any of the golf balls that you can pick up on Amazon just to help you with connection, I definitely feel like you would drop that golf ball. In addition to that, I see a very closed club face at the top of the backswing. So now we have slight disconnection issue with your hands and arms, and we have a club face that is relatively closed. Now, because you're a talented player, you know how to manage both of these elements, especially when we retrieve the data. The club face for the large majority was open and slightly toe-based. Now, from the top of the backswing, which we see a club face that is closed, and an impact position where we see a club face that's open, how you transition, how you move in the downswing dramatically causes those effects. So in transition, we see a player that wants to, as we've spoken about this before, we see a player that wants to dramatically spin really quickly. So everything about your body wants to fire in a really rotational rate, which is going to pull your hand path, if I just put a small circle around your hands here, it's going to pull your hand path really quickly out in front of you. So everything's going to work directionally out in front of you really quickly. In addition to that, you do that in a way that also forces that right arm, the right arm, to work into external forearm rotation, and you try and get that right arm now back in front of your body. Like I say, you're a really clever golfer because you get the arms a bit too deep going back, and then you realize that you have to put it back. So you're now going to fire this right arm back in front of the body. Now that movement is going to put really sort of strong sort of stress ideas on that trail arm. You're definitely going to start to shadow out the golf club beautifully, but the club face is now going to start to open up dramatically. So you've got a bit of disconnection at the top of the backswing and a club face relatively closed. In transition, you get the body spinning quickly and the right arm works into external forearm rotation, which opens up the club face. Okay, so in transition, we're going to start to spin open, right arm works underneath the left. You deliver the golf club beautifully, but in my opinion, if I just zoom out fractionally, the club face now is a little bit too open to deliver. It is also still a little bit low on loft. Okay, and definitely from the peak height scenario that I see on the camera there, I need to put more loft back on this golf club. And you're doing everything possible, by the way, to put loft back on this. Everything possible, including the high handle delivery. Now, what do we know about the high handle delivery? We know that that's going to present some degree of idea of toe strike on occasion. So the way in which you're moving in your downswing is totally based on you trying to put loft and reopen the club face. We've got a strong lofted golf club at the top of the backswing. And how you deal with that is to drive that right arm in front of the body with good rotational rates, but that opens up the club face, which is substantially going to give you an open club face impact, and the high handle is going to give you the toe hit, and that's what's going to cause you the conflict in delivery. Now, if we go to the face on, again, just some simple ideas from an address position. If I just draw a line relative to the golf ball, just be careful of just how much sort of trail side bend, right side bend you pop in at address. This is something you need the access to within the golf swing dynamically. I want to see a little bit less ideas of sort of trail side tilt. I want to get rid of the sort of the right side down, left shoulder up ideas. Let's try and get you a little more neutral in the ideas of setup and spine angles. A really simple way is just to draw a line up your trail sort of side, is to understand if I do both of these scenarios, you can actually see, subject to the camera angle, how much tilt you have to that trail side. So firstly, let's see if we can just manage this a little bit more neutrally, and I can explain that in front of the camera. But I just want you to be aware of a couple of things. If I just draw a line relative to the golf ball and take you to the top of the backswing. Now for me, you definitely a lot of, let's say, still trail side bend. We popped that in at address. I'd like to see a little more neutrality here. I'd love to see a little more neutral ideas with the spine angle at the top of the backswing. So I'm sort of looking to see the spine angle a little more, let's say, extended version, sort of upper body a little more centered, okay? Now again, just take a little look at the club face. As mentioned, I feel like the club face is super close, and your way of dealing with this is to be super athletic in rotational rates. So you're going to see that the body's through a massive amount of turn here, massive amount of sort of lower body turn, which is phenomenal. The power and access that you have here, the opportunity you have for power and leverage is through the roof. But you do have to reorganize that club face to be appropriate for delivery. Now on the way down, your way of dealing with this is a super quick spin. So the upper body and lower body rotate open early. That right elbow drives underneath the sort of lead arm, really working into external forearm rotation. And as a result, we know that move opens up the club face. Okay, so now you're hanging behind it, rotating really quickly. The right arm's driving underneath. All of these things are great, but unfortunately this is now going to definitely open up the club face. And you can see even more so now you're putting even more of that trail side bend in. Now, you're doing that because you're trying to put loft back on the golf club. You're definitely trying to lean back in order to give yourself time and space to put loft at the golf club at the impact. You need that time and space due to the severity of that club face. Now, as you come into delivery at this point, obviously the golf ball would be hit way right, and the golf ball's up in your stance enough for you to just about to be able to square it. I do think this is going to be a wildly easier concept if we can just sort out a few things at address. Number one, I'd just like to see the upper body a little more stretched out, a little more vertical with, let's say, almost chilling out address. Less side tilt would be brilliant. Top of the backswing, we want to see a little more connection with the hands and arms, and we definitely want to see the club face a lot more neutral in orientations of, let's say, toe down to toe up ideas. Let's try and get that club face feeling in your world a little more open. That might be a discussion on the grip, or that might be a discussion on wrist angles present in the backswing ideas, okay? Now from there, because you're going to have a lot more loft on the club, and you're not going to be so much in a side tilt, your current downswing is no longer going to be prevalent or needed in your golf swing. In fact, the idea of spinning open early with the body, where the upper body sort of spins open, right shoulder comes forward, left shoulder goes up, that's probably going to be less prevalent. In fact, we're going to be working much more keen ideas towards sort of your irons, keeping your shoulders closed, getting that golf club to fire early so that you can match everything up at impact. Let me show you what I mean, coach.
Right, coach, let's talk driver, shall we? So, hopefully you enjoyed the analysis. This is just me spending a few moments in front of the camera before we catch up from a live lesson in a few days' time. Let's just discuss some of the very key principles that I want to talk about when we catch up. No excuses now you've got a back garden. What I want you to do from a address position is pretty simple. Set yourself up with little to no tilt. Now obviously popping your right hand on the golf club lower and your left anyway will give you some description of tilt at address anyway. Okay, pretty simple ideas. Then at the top of the backswing, we're going to discuss together keeping the arms a little more in front of the body. Again, keep it pretty simple. If I keep my arms in front of my body, fold one a little bit, if I just get rid of the golf club, Arms together, fold one a little bit of hinge and turn. Now you're going to see at the top of the backswing, my arms are in front of my body. They haven't worked dramatically behind me. So I want to spend a little bit of time presetting it with you. Pretty simple drill. Set yourself up. Really simple ideas of just palms on your sort of, let's say, thighs, making sure your sort of tilts aren't crazy. Then set yourself up. Then from there, just elevate the golf club fractionally to sort of to your right hip. So just allow the golf club to fold. Now we'll talk about together the type of wrist sets we need for this to be applicable. What you'll see in this notion is your wrist start to bend, your right elbow starts to bend. Now from there, I just want you to turn in your normal turn state. But now your right arm is in a much more applicable spot, and the way in which you set, we should start to see a much more neutral club face. So we're just going to go 1 and then 2. All of a sudden now that club is in a much more neutral top of the backswing position. As long as we can keep the arms relatively connected, we're going to really like it. We can use structure balls or sort of any ideas of swing aids to keep your elbows relatively closer together rather than seeing this big disconnect. So I'm just going to set 1 and 2. Now I'm pretty good to hit the shot. Here's the thing, your current downswing, this super spinny open one, is no longer applicable. And guess what? I get to say to you, can we just calm it down a little bit? I want you to keep the speed, but I do want you to use a different idea in your downswing. Again, like your irons, we need to reduce the amount of rip open with the shoulders. So really simple idea, set yourself up. I just want you to hold the golf club relative to the camera, okay? Imagine working up to the top of the backswing, and rather than ripping open and seeing all this forward shaft lean, I want you to work up to the top of the backswing and feel like the club head is getting to the camera before you are. So you're trying to get the golf club to the camera before your body opens up. Now that movement is going to start you to feel like you're accelerating the golf club and the body's been a little bit less, I hate to say it, a little bit less active. So set yourself up to the top of the backswing and feel like the golf club is almost beating you to target. It will feel, and that is a dangerous word, it will feel. I don't know what it's going to feel like for you. It's definitely going to feel different. It should feel different. You're going to go up to the top of the backswing and get the golf club to get to impact before your body is opened up. Naturally, you're going to feel like you're throwing all the angles away to get the golf club back into delivery. Chest feeling relatively closed, pelvis feeling relatively inactive, probably feeling some degree of embankment on the right foot. Think Tiger Woods and you probably won't go far away. He wasn't bad, was he? Up to the top of the backswing, really neutral ideas are set and balanced in the posture. We're going to make sure the club face is organised and the arm structure isn't too far behind you. From there, we're going to start to accelerate the golf club. The more you say it again, let's say it one more time for really simple ideas. Little to no tilt at address, okay? Neutral ideas. We're going to set the golf club appropriately when we talk together. The arms a little more in front of your body with big hip turns. From there, I want you to start to feel like you're getting rid of all the angles, feeling like the chest is relatively closed. Create that dynamic tilt. Now we start to put it in. Coach, I need you to spend time reviewing that. Ask any questions you want. Give me a call when you're ready. I'm going to look forward to our FaceTime. This should be fun. I hear there might be a game coming up soon. That would be fun.
It would be fun indeed, Pete. But first of all, I've got to get cracking with this practice. So, in the comments down below, what do you think? Good review of my swing? Would you include anything else? Do you see anything in my swing that you would change? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the videos and the swing analysis stuff of my swing, let me know in the comments too. Plenty more of the Coach Lockey journey coming soon.